Welcome, Junkies, one and all, to Culture Junkies Live. I'm your host, Kenshiro, and today we're going to be talking about the new faces of death. One, Miss Queen of Dragons, Miss Mad Queen, Daenerys Targaryen, and of course, the return of Keanu Reeves' eponymous John Wick, which is going to be in theaters this Friday. We're also going to talk about the ending of an era in the Arrowverse on CW. Arrow has reached its penultimate season. We kind of can officially say that the show is ended after after Monday's episode. And also we have the season finale of Flash, where we're going to talk about that and a bunch of other stuff. But first, who's going to be on the show with me? The great Daikuchi. What's up, bro?
Not much here, doing the thing like we normally do, not playing as many video games as I wanted to.
Why not?
That's about it.
No reason? No specific reason?
No, it is what it is. I was playing Final Fantasy 17 today, and I think I'm on 17. I'm in the future.
15?
15, and I made it to chapter 12, and I'm on a train, and Shiva just appeared, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, you're almost at the end.
But I'm doing this, and Dexter is over watching my telly right now.
Nice. Also on the show is Miss LGZ. How are you doing?
Hey. How is everyone? I am so excited to get into the conversation tonight.
Right on. I don't know what's going on. The Facebook feed is not working, so I'll have to check that out. But of course, Mr. GQ is also there. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Just got in, had some work to do around the house, but I'm doing good, though.
Oh, he's a handyman on top of being a dapper man. Isn't that something? Oh, he ain't got no snappy comeback for that, I guess. Anyway,
snappy comeback needed.
Because I'm telling the truth. Is that what you're gonna say? Right?
Oh, it's everything you heard about me is true.
I love it. Anyway, guys, Yayin is gonna be on the show as soon as she gets herself settled. She's putting on her face, so she'll be gracing us with her presence as well. So we'll be eagerly awaiting her return. So hold on a second. I'm gonna
wait. Putting on her face. Is she trying to say she's like a Mrs. Potato Head?
Look, I'm not gonna have you putting words in my mouth, man.
I'm just saying. You said it. Putting on her face.
That is not what I said. You're misconstruing what I said. That is not what I said. I just said she was putting on her face, and I left it at that. That's all. All I said. Anyway, here, let me restart the stream so I can get face. Let's see. So, all right. So, literally, I took it off, turned it back on. Hopefully, it should start sending to everybody on Facebook, seeing us right now. Here we are. So, welcome to the show, everybody. We hope you all had a fantastic weekend. I know I did. But as I talked about earlier, we're going to talk about Game of Thrones and a bunch of other things. But what else everybody been up to this weekend? I can't wait to hear from Yayin. She was on sabbatical for a little while, so can't wait to hear what she's been up to. But how was everybody's weekend? What'd you guys do?
Well, last week, what did I do? I had to work. No, I didn't work. So, yeah, I've been off all week. I've been trying to get stuff done around the house, get stuff done at the building where we more than likely will be shooting our shows soon. Mm-hmm. And playing some video game, watching some movies. I got caught up with Game of Thrones because I know
he got tired. He got tired of us like spoiling stuff for him. So he got off his ass.
I don't want to call people names, but it kind of bothers me to the point where in game everybody is nothing. Zip kept their mouth shut on in game till the spoilers. The ban was released, but as soon as Game of Thrones come out, did you see what happened? Oh my God! It's like fucking hey. For a bit. So I got caught up on it.
My bad.
You know, and it was kind of her fault. She was the one that kind of like just blabbed.
I was crunk though. What you gonna do?
I mean, I get you excited on that. I can remove myself. That's what I did. But so I'm like, they got the.
But it was too late. He was like, God damn. It was
Most of the
funny.
stuff I barely knew what was going on because like I know I have selective pay attention to. I can pay attention to stuff selectively. I did get caught up to the point where everybody else is, and Sunday I'll watch it live because I know you.
Hey man, it's a hype show. What can we say? What can we say? It's a hype show, man. We can't wait to the end. And it's been 8 long years, and everybody's been like eagerly awaiting what's been happening. Even though this season has been controversial for some people, it is still an absolutely fantastic show, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to be sad to see it go. So, Sundeep Singh is joining us over on Facebook. He says, "What's up, all? I've been waiting for Batman versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Day One buy. Now, when is that coming out? By the way, is that like out now? Is the what's it called? Has the movie been released? Because I know DC's on this Batman everything kick all the time, but I know a lot of people were excited about this project because it was mirroring like 2 of their favorite properties. So, like, did you guys see the trailer of Batman versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Were you looking forward to it, Dotto? I want to say Super Nerd was.
I want to see it because, as a young kid, I loved the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I became, on the media TV side and movie side with Batman and whatnot because, like I tell people all the time, I read comics, but not as many as my friends, not nearly as many as my friends. So it's something that I actually want to see because I don't quite understand how they're doing it. And I didn't know that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was a DC thing. I thought Nickelodeon owned them now. So
no, it was a joint project that they did. There was a comic book that they did, Batman and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They teamed up. So this was just the animated version of that comic book.
I just realized you can't do Batman versus Predator now because Predator is technically a Disney property.
Very true. Very true.
So
It would be very interesting if they ever did that.
Don't worry, we'll buy Batman soon enough.
Stop. You're gonna start stoking all those flames of those people that claim that Disney's got a monopoly and all this other kind of stuff.
I don't care, man. They grabbed controlling interest of Hulu. That's all sorts of awesome.
Right. Now see, I know a lot of people want to make the big bones about, what happened with Disney gaining control. They didn't take full ownership. They just have control. Comcast still has their 33%. But there is a clause in there that says, I think it said 2024, at such a time either Disney can force Comcast to sell their shares, which is an aggressive move, and to even have that in a contract, say, hey, in 2024 you will sell us your shares, or Comcast can just elect to put them up on their own at a fair price. Either way, Disney's getting it in 2024. Just it's being leased for another 4 or 5 years. So
in other words, they literally doing the Thanos. They're talking about dread it, run from it. 2024 is coming, and we're getting Hulu all the way.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. They pulling a Mad Titan move on them. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just wondering if they're going to put some of the shows that they've been talking about doing on Hulu as well, or like transitioning all the Marvel characters that were left Netflix to Hulu, or.
Well, weren't you here? I think it was a couple of weeks ago, or no, was it last week? I can't remember. I think it was a couple of weeks ago where they announced all those shows that were getting ready to come on to Hulu, like Howard the Duck, the Tiger, and some of them were animated. I think it was Dazzler and Tigra, I think is one of the shows that's going to be coming. But Ghost Rider was also one of the shows, and it's going to be the Gabriel Luna version. Not Gabriel Luna. The Robbie Reyes version that we saw in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. a few years back. It's going to be the same. It's going to be played by the same actor, and it's going to be on Hulu. So that kind of let everybody know that Hulu is probably going to be the destination for the more mature Disney properties, which is kind of something that we all foreshadowed, like back when we heard that Disney was buying Fox and they were going to get kind of controlling interest in Hulu. We said, I bet you that's where those end up, because they said Disney Plus will never have mature Marvel content. Well, that stuff is still going to get made, and it's got to live somewhere. So here we are. It all came together.
Hulu's about to be their new Miramax.
Yeah, pretty much. And then, and I love that, at least in the interim, NBC Universal is contractually obligated. I mean contractually obligated to keep all of their NBC Universal stuff on Hulu until 2025. So like they can't yank their stuff just because they want to. No, Disney's like strong arming them and saying, no, you gonna keep putting your shit on our streaming service. We want this right now. And then after a few years, you can go upon your merry way. We'll have no further need of you. That's pretty much what they're saying. It's smart business, man. It is. It's smart business. It's smart business. That's all there is to it. I want to say what's up to everybody that's in the chat right now. Is she ready? Yes, Meow Yin is here. How you doing, lady?
Yes, I've flown in, everyone. I'm here.
Oh, it's good to see you. It's good to see you.
It's good to see all of you. It's good to be here.
Oh, yeah. Well, I see I see you're fully prepared for the discussion today. One of the discussions.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah. One discussion in particular, yes.
Yeah, so I'm not going to hold it up. Let's get going. So, Game of Thrones ends this weekend after the penultimate episode came on, on Sunday, The Bells. And, we could probably spend forever and a day talking about whether people liked the episode, didn't like the episode, or fine with what happened, not fine with what happened. But I think there was a more important question at hand, especially when the final episode's coming up next week. So the question I wanted to ask is, how are you, if you've seen Game of Thrones? And most of us have on this panel, with the exception of Mr. GQ, who's waiting to collect it all and then watch it in pristine 4K whenever it does come out. How are you going to remember the show when it's all said and done?
I'm going to remember the show fondly, but I'm also going to remember it for the reason that I remembered it in the very first episode, which is nobody is safe. Mm-hmm. Nobody on the show is safe. When my brother first told me about Game of Thrones, he's like, he immediately spoiled the first episode, but I was like, okay, whatever. He's just like, they literally, and this is a spoiler for all of you guys who haven't seen it in the last 10 years, but they're like, they killed a kid in the first episode. They killed a kid. They pushed a kid out of a window. I was just like, what kind of show is this? Like,
that was your takeaway?
What kind of show? Well, because the way he explained it, and like that was his whole thing, like, they pushed a kid out of a window. And I was like, what kind of show is this where we're pushing kids out of windows and they're dying and stuff like that? Because he semi-spoiled it, because obviously the kid did die. But yeah, so I will remember it fondly. It was a lot of great characters in it. It is a lot of great characters in it. And it's not always... it's a twist and turn and all that kind of stuff. It's not as predictable as people expect it to be.
Well, I'm surprised that was the first thing that stuck out to you, not seeing Jaime and Cersei banging in the, in the highest point on Winterfell.
Well, I'm not dwelling on all.
I'm not saying dwelling, but that was like the first thing that stuck out to me. I was like, wait a minute, what? I was like, what's going on here?
But did people know that they were brother and sister in that first few minutes? Because I didn't.
Yeah.
They vaguely touch on it in earlier in the show, but you don't put two and two together until later.
Right. So I was just like, okay, why'd they push this kid out the window? But I didn't realize that they were brother and sister until later. So I don't think that was like as bad as you think.
And
Okay.
also, like with a lot of these kind of medieval type shows, that kind of stuff goes on. Not saying that I like it and it's right or anything, but it's like it's not shocking to me.
Well, Norma Rivera seems
in,
to. Norma Rivera's on it over on YouTube, and she seems to like your shirt. She said, "Where are my dragons?" But yeah, so Great Dadokuji, what is going to be your takeaway from the show? How are you going to remember it?
Well, me, who is somebody who didn't jump into the show in the beginning like everybody else, I think it was probably because people were talking about it as if things like this haven't been seen or done before. And to them, it hasn't been, because when have there ever been a nerdy type Dungeons and Dragons, very popular TV show with mythical beasts? The thing that got a lot of people into is because there's sex and titties in it. And yes, I think that's one of the main reasons people, and of course people dying. But we as anime fans have seen shit like that forever. Granted, it's animated, and because you got certain people out there, if it's not a real actor, it doesn't count. Mm-hmm. But we've seen shows that have twists and turns and medieval settings and titties and sex and demons, and the show is called Berserk. And I look at Berserk in the way kind of like I look at Game of Thrones, is that it's a wild friggin' ride. And if you watched anything of Berserk, it didn't have as many twists and turns per se as Game of Thrones, because I think that's one of the things that the producers of Game of Thrones, and maybe it's also in the books, that they want to make sure people are like, oh, did you see what happened? Did you see what happened? But the last episode of the first series of Berserk was like, holy fucking shit. You ain't seen it. Nothing Game of Thrones has done can top that, like that shit. And that's why I threw out that conversation into our Facebook not too long ago. If something like that were live action with the same people who like Game of Thrones, mm-hmm. like Berserk, and I think they would, because that shit is wild.
I totally think they would too. I totally think they would too. You know, to me, some of the best stuff, and I know the newer Berserk episodes turned a lot of people off with the pseudo 3D 2D animation that they had. You know, that part didn't bother me, because that's kind of what they did for the 3 egg of the High King arc that they did for the 3 movies that they did not too long ago. And those 3 movies, I have to tell you, they were so faithful to the manga. I loved every second of it. It was so good. But anyway, we're talking about Game of Thrones.
We are. So, but to remember it is, to answer the question, I am probably going to remember it as a show that was very much talked about. It was very entertaining to me. I enjoyed a lot of the storylines that they took. I enjoyed the acting. I enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed the settings. Would I ever go back and watch it years later? Probably not, because that's not how my brain works. I rewatch another movie, but TV series take a long time. But I liked it. I enjoyed it. I can't say I can't wait for Sunday, because I can wait. I'm the type of person who is very patient when it comes to a lot of stuff. But I'll be there. I'll be there on Sunday with everybody else. Was it 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock? I have no idea what time it comes on.
It's 9 o'clock. It is basically whenever the hell you feel like watching it, I suppose. If you have
I got the HBO Go
anywhere. Okay. So it basically will start whenever, after 8 o'clock when they upload it, and you can watch it. So, GQ's just chiming in over there. He's like, I'm going to remember the show once I start watching it. Which is, it's the truth though. It is the truth. Norma Rivera says, I will remember G.O.T. for being filled with some of the most evil villains ever. That is without question absolutely true. Because, dude, there are some really just heinous people on this show. And they're just everywhere. Like, we just talked about Jaime and Cersei. Yeah, oh no, you loved it because it's like you loved hating them, right? You just loved.
Sometimes I just liked that they were terrible.
Well, yeah, because like Cersei was the ultimate bitch that you just was like, ugh, I just can't stand. Joffrey was, dude, I couldn't wait for that little bastard to die. I couldn't wait.
Man, Joffrey's death, man,
so great. So
yes.
so great.
That was delicious. I've never I'm not wired this way. I never revel when somebody dies, but dude, I damn near did the jit when he died. Cause dude, it was just like, oh yes, this little bastard's dead, and he's dying in the most excruciating way possible, and I love it. It was great. It was great.
You know what I think was the best part about Joffrey's death was finding out who was behind it. That was some
like for real
stuff.
Yes. And
like
I was semi-right. I was semi-right because I thought it was Marjorie, but it was, you know, it was the Queen of Thorns, and I was just like, that's even better because when she hinted at it, and it was like you know, when you go back and watch it, because I'm gonna watch it probably 3 or 4 more times all the way through.
Me too.
But when you go back and watch it in that episode, like there's episodes afterwards where like Orlana is like, she says certain things and does certain things, and she's just like telling Marjorie, okay, like I handled this kind of thing for you. So Marjorie knew, and Marjorie was great. And people said, oh, Marjorie was a villain as well. I don't care what anyone says. Marjorie was a villain.
Okay, you know, I'm interested to hear that spin.
She was a villain. Tell me, it convinced me that she wasn't.
I think she played the game. I don't know if she was necessarily outright like on the level of a Cersei or even her grandmother.
Well, there's levels to all of the villainy, and that's the part that I love about the show, and that I also remember about the show. They let the villainy show, and it's just not like everybody doesn't have to be righteous, even though some try, and when they do, it never works out for them, or you know. It really just doesn't work out for them.
It's like
they
literally
have hard lives.
It's the show that literally shows nice guys finish last. Because if you're a nice guy on this show, you're dead. You're dead before you can even do anything. Like, and it happened. They didn't spare anybody. Everybody was affected by that. Like whether it started with Ned Stark. Even in the beginning, I mean, he was an honorable, good dude. Dead.
But hold up, it was
dead.
Hold on, it's Sean Bean. That's like his.
That's his thing, though, right? That's his thing.
Like
you're right about that.
But in Lord of the Rings, it was different though, because when he died in Lord of the Rings, it was because he wasn't as noble.
He wasn't a good dude. Yeah, no, he wasn't a good dude in Lord of the Rings.
He wasn't as noble. And you
kind
of was just like, yeah, you kind of had that coming to you, bruh. But in Game of Thrones, I wouldn't say that he had it coming per se, but he was, and I said this to my husband the other day when we were talking about it, I was like, Ned Stark was a useful idiot, and it's not that he was was an useful idiot as the way we talk about in politics now. That's a whole different thing. But he saw things that was going on, and he was so complicit in the way that he didn't want to ruffle too many feathers until it was too late. Like he would let things go on too far, and people in his life, his wife included, they used his nobility against him in ways that made him a useful idiot. So that's why I say he was a useful idiot. Jon Snow is a useful idiot as well.
Yeah, you're right. Like Diana Turner-Jackson is just joined the show, and he said she's like, you know, Ned was too good for his own good, and that's pretty well put. That's pretty well put. He was too good for his own good. Yeah, and you're right. Jon Snow is kind of in the same way, and that's kind of what kind of led to Sunday's thing kind of happening, because even Varys was telling him, you know, from the jump, said, look, man, he was like, men have more of a hand in, you know, in controlling power than they realize, basically, like it, because he was trying to hint that by good men doing nothing, they let bad things happen. Like, you know, could John have completely stopped what happened Sunday? Yeah, sure, he could have. He could have, but he was just so
John could
willing
have stopped
to.
it before they even left Winterfell.
You ain't never lied. Yeah, he could have, but he didn't. So anyway, we're not.
He has to,
But wait a minute. What about the snitch though? Like the snitching.
look.
I was
It's
like,
rampant.
what?
I look.
What?
Brandon didn't do it. She's really saying Sansa opening her damn mouth, but I understand why she did it. I understand why she did it.
No, Sansa didn't snitch. Sansa told a secret. That's different.
Well, yeah.
Tyrion.
That's what I'm talking about.
Tyrion snitched for real. Yeah, Tyrion did snitch. Huh? Yeah, but you know, we're not gonna go over this. We're still talking about what we're gonna remember from the show. I did love the dragons. I loved the arcs that a lot of these characters went on. Like, you know, we're talking about the arc like Jon Snow, his character story. Arya, her character story was just great. Daenerys, you know, her character story was great. I mean, they had a lot of really great arcs for characters where you saw them go through seasons and they changed pretty drastically in a lot of ways. Like Arya probably might have been the biggest change. I think a lot of people saw. Like she was like this.
As I was saying, and people were just like, "No, it was Jamie. No, it wasn't.
No, it was Arya.
Had the biggest change." And I'm gonna dig up all those posts when people were telling me, "No, it was Jamie."
Nah, Jamie hardly ever, especially after Sunday. Jamie barely ever changed at all. Barely.
No, what happened to Jamie is that he went through hardship.
Yeah.
He had to end up going through hardship like everybody else, and he couldn't handle it. That is what changed Jamie, but it didn't change him enough.
As soon as that dude lost that hand, then he stopped being, you know, a cocky little asshole, and he kind of came back down to earth a little bit. But it still wasn't the change like Arya. Like she was sitting. She basically hid her entire gender for like a season and a half, you know, just to keep herself safe. It was something, man. It was something else. You know, she was basically in the lion's mouth for lack of better pun, you know, when she was sitting next to Tywin Lannister for forever, you know, and you know, he never even suspected
That wasn't forever. That was a very short time that she was.
It seemed like it was
Tyler.
forever because she was in such constant danger that any moment, if anybody had realized that she was one of the last surviving Stark girls, yeah, that could have been something else. That could have been something else.
Anonymity was definitely her friend, because the fact that they didn't know what she looked like and they had never seen all the Stark children because they lived in the North helped them tremendously.
Yeah, it did.
And I will also say, I enjoy all the different types of women they showed in the show as far as personality goes. So that's what I'm talking about. They showed these different women at different stages in their lives and how they handled with all these things, and so many of them strong, some of them not so strong, but just a variety. And you don't see that in a lot of shows. So I think that is another thing that I'll always remember in the show. It's probably something that I really enjoyed in the show because from the very beginning.
You see that a lot. I don't think you see that a lot in modern TV shows. Yeah.
Right. And this is one of those fantasy shows too. So it's like high fantasy, and they, you know, you always have people who are just like, well, that wouldn't work because but it worked well on the show, you know what I mean? And it showed people in different ways. Like you have the true hero's journey in Arya, and you have the conqueror and Daenerys, and those two things are usually very strong male roles in a show, and I think they did this very well.
Well, to me, I think another thing that sticks out is just, you know, like you said, how varied a lot of the women were, and they let them be just as ruthless, if not more ruthless, than the men were. In a lot of ways. Now we know Littlefinger was probably like the worst, but dude, Olenna Tyrell is probably like the GOAT of all time. Diana Rigg, her sassiness was just unbelievable. She was like, she She didn't care who she was in front of. She didn't take no shit from nobody. It was great. It was absolutely great. She was like, "Oh, I'll never forget what she said to one of the Sand Snake girls."
Oh.
She was like, "Oh, I thought you were a man. Be quiet. Sit over there and be quiet. The grown people are talking." I was like, "Dude, this is awesome. This is awesome. That was great." Brienne of Tarth was another one. LGZ just brought her up in the chat, but Brienne of Tarth was another character that had a really great character arc. I also remember Game of Thrones for the amount of quality actors that were on this show. One of my personal favorites, Charles Dance. Being Tywin. When I didn't fully buy in until I saw he was Tywin Lannister. I was like, oh, I'm in. I was like, oh, I'm so in. I was like, Charles Dance is on the show. I'm all about it. I love this show now. And then even some of the unknowns that you hadn't really even heard of, how they kind of grew over the course in their craft over the course of the show. Where we're talking about Emilia Clarke, or we're talking about Kit Harington. Some more of the unknown characters, Maisie Williams.
I don't think Emilia Clarke was unknown because she was in that Terminator show. Like, wasn't she?
Came after. She
really?
came. That came after. She was she was Sarah Connor.
She was Sarah Connor.
Yeah, she was Sarah Connor, but that was after Game of Thrones had started. She was like 2 or 3 seasons in when that movie came out, and the movie that people love to forget or hate to talk about was Terminator Genesis? Was that it?
Yeah,
I forget what it was. Terrible movie.
It was Terminator Genesis.
It was
she was a very young looking Sarah Connor. It was pretty bad. Pretty bad.
But Peter Dinklage, I love Peter Dinklage.
I never heard of him.
You never heard of him before?
I had never heard of him before the show.
Peter Dinklage from Nip Tuck. I was one of he was in some other things before that, but I really was like, oh my gosh, this is a great actor kind of thing. And then when I found out that he was in Game of Thrones, because I'm not gonna lie, guys, so I probably should put this out there. When Game of Thrones first came out, I was not interested in it. I didn't want anything to do with it because people I disliked used to talk about it all the time, and I was like, if you like it, it must be crap. Because I just felt that way.
Hell of a reasoning there.
But I was on some haterade, and I can say that I was on some haterade. But like I said, my big brother told me about it, and my big brother has pretty good taste in things. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'll give it a try and all this kind of stuff. And then, of course, I looked it up a little bit because he had all the DVDs and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So I could just start watching it when he told me about it.
Right.
And I found out that Peter Dinklage was in it. And I was like, this probably is pretty good because everything else I've seen him in is very good. Mm-hmm. So, but very versatile, one of my favorite characters throughout, even though, I always have issues with certain people and what they do and all this kind of stuff, but except for Arya. I've been pretty consistent with Arya and cheering her on. But anyway, Peter Dinklage did a great job, and Sophie Turner as well, because she grew on me, let me tell you.
I hated Sansa at the beginning. I couldn't stand that girl. I hated her.
I remember.
I still hate her now. So yeah.
You hate her now? No, I don't hate her now. In fact,
I stopped hating her in season 6. I think in season 6 I was just like, all right, Sansa, I see you.
Yeah, I like this girl. This is my girl.
No, I don't think you liked her, but you were just like, all right, I don't hate her.
No, I grew to like her. I hated her at first.
I know you hated her, but I think in season 6 you still hated her. I
didn't hate her. I didn't hate her as much. She grew on me after she escaped from Ramsay, and after she kind of opened her eyes a little bit when she was kind of stuck in the veil with Littlefinger and her Aunt Lysa. She kind of grew on me after that.
Before Ramsay.
No, that was after.
No, she was there before. because he pushed his wife out the window.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right.
And Peter sold her to Ramsay.
That's right. You're right about that. My bad. I got it all mixed up.
But she's still trash. She's still trash.
Let's be real though. Most of the characters are trash.
I don't think there's only
maybe all of them actually.
Well,
maybe
no,
all the
can't say that about Sam. Sam, you cannot say that about Sam or Tarly.
Okay, that's okay. Maybe
Sam's special though. Sam's special.
Yeah, Sam's special. You can't say Gilly is trash because Gilly ain't she ain't trash.
Gilly is just
just there. She's just there, right? She's just there. She ain't trash. She's just there.
I mean,
you can't say Arya.
I'm like,
Arya ain't trash. Come on now.
I mean, Arya is a Stark though, so she trash down low.
That's cold.
But you know what? It's okay. Her trash is okay because she's doing it for the right reasons.
Okay.
She's trash, but she's doing it for the right reasons.
You can forgive it. Okay, I got you.
She's redeemable trash. She's recyclable.
Right. So outside of fantastic villains, great actors, wonderful character arcs, wonderfully written women. Is there anything else we're gonna remember from this show? How about that damn theme song? How about the theme song?
Oh, I love the music from the show. Yeah. I have the score. I have the score from season 2 and I think season 6 because let me tell you, season 6, that opening when that when certain parts of King's Landing went kaboom, I was like, I need the music to go behind that, and I enjoyed the music a lot.
Oh man, you can't tell me you may hate Cersei, right? But that shot of Lena Headey while she was watching the septum go up in flames, and she just had her little wine glass meme for days. That shit was great.
I'm gonna say this, and anybody who disagrees can send me an email or a text or whatever, smoke signal, whatever. I think any adult woman in her life has had that moment where she's just like, she just had that moment when she has her wine and she's watching all the stuff go her way, and it's just that satisfying moment. I think maybe every man has had it too. I don't know. It's not about y'all today, but but I just feel like that is like a universal thing that any and everybody can like. You gotta as much as you hate her, you just like, man, I've had that moment.
Yo, man, the only time I ever felt bad for Cersei is when she did the shame walk. When she did the shame walk, I was like, damn. I was like, this is kind of bad. They throwing shit on her. They throwing tomatoes on her, food on her, rotten food. I was like,
I think she liked it. Because she trash. And she knew she was trash. She knew that she was going to get it. And she knew that she knew it was coming. She trash. She was like, shit. Because she was trying to hold her head up high like a motherfucker. Like, well, I don't care. And what? So I don't feel sorry for her at all. Sorry.
Yo, that's hilarious. Okay, Norma Rivera was like, thousands of people were dying while she had that wine, though. Look, I never said she was a good person. I just said that was a great shot. Just like seeing her just sit up high in the red keep with that red wine, that smirk on her face, sipping her wine while all her enemies got taken out. One fell swoop, man. Come on, it was something else.
And I'm sorry, I'm gonna have a true, probably a villainous comment or whatever, but it's at that moment that if you didn't move out of King's Landing,
right
when those thousands of people were dying, then I mean,
you deserve whatever happened to you after that.
I would have been like, this might be my home, but it's time to find a new place.
Right. These bitches is crazy. It ain't.
That looks real good right now.
For real.
I hear a bunch of stuff over there.
Like, man, anyway. There must be bad places up north. There's bad places in Essos. There's bad places in Dorne. It's got to be better than King's Landing because this shit is ridiculous. I'm sure that's what they were saying. Not GQ. Dido, you awful quiet over there, man. You ain't got nothing else to add to the topic, man.
Well, I got a lot to add, but I want the ladies to talk, man. Give them their go. We talk so goddamn much, man. Come on now.
Okay, go ahead, do your thing.
But
then we'll move on.
Well, about the show, as you guys are saying, I agree with a lot of things that were going on. Sansa, I don't really have an opinion about her too much. She did seem like a pretty weak character in the beginning, and then she had an experience and then changed. But she still seems to have the same mindset, which is, family first. I do like Arya. She was probably my favorite character, and then Tyrion, because I do like Peter Dinklage. I have seen him in a couple of movies, like In Bruges. I think it was pretty good in that movie, and it's going to be kind of interesting to see what is going to happen. I was having a conversation with Hand of Omega, and he's basically saying that they think that what's his name, George R. Martin,
Martin.
Yeah, who wrote the books, did and has written the books quite a while ago, but was under some kind of contract where he can't release them till after the series is over, or he wrote the books and there are things that has happened in the books that have happened in the TV show, and based on the reaction, it gives them an opportunity to change it to make it better.
That's a very interesting take, and I'm not saying that is not true. For them to basically make him contractually hold out on finishing the books, because what if those books had come out and they were completely different from the show? Can you imagine the damage it would have done to the show had that happened?
Hey, it also happens in Animeville all the time. Can anybody say Full Metal Alchemist?
Right.
Well, we got 2 freaking series of Full Metal Alchemist because they didn't finish it and they just wrapped it up the way they wanted to, and then it was like, that's not how we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it right, and we're gonna start all over from the beginning again. So that could happen.
Right.
And I like you were saying, I definitely agree with the latter of what you said, that he's written it, because apparently from what I had saw, he told them the ending, like he wasn't going to release the books and stuff before that they wanted to do it. So they just decided 13 episodes and it's done. And meaning 7 and 8 and it's done. But he told them how the story ends, and they obviously filled in the blanks. And I think what he's going to do is he's going to gauge how people react to the ending, and he probably will change it or do something like that if it's like not a good ending, or if people, I think he's been sitting back and probably taking all of this in and deciding like, okay, am I going to change this? Am I going to do that? And then release the books kind of thing. Because he's an EP on the show. So I know he has some input on it, and he does help them, but he's not like writing the scripts himself. So
well, what about this? Like, because here's my take on that. I think that because they had an ending to the show, I don't necessarily agree that he's going to release it exactly the way the show did. I think
I'm not saying that that's how he's going to act.
I guess what I'm trying to say is what's done kind of damage to this season for sure. Last season, not quite as much, because last season seemed to progress pretty well, even though they squeezed in a lot of plot. I think this show, they're trying to resolve so much and they have so little time to do it. Like it seems like it's rushed and it's not planned out. At least with the books, he can take as much time as he needs to really flesh out reasonings and plot devices and things like that, and actually help people understand. And I think that's why it's so hard for a lot of people to grasp what happened in the last episode Sunday, or even a couple episodes ago, where they felt like the Night King was going to be this really, really big threat, and he ended up not being even like kind of like the worst of the worst. It was just like a lot of people expected a lot more out of that Battle of Winterfell, and some people, even though it was like massive carnage that happened out there, a lot of people felt like the Night King himself wasn't really that much of a threat at the end anyway. Like all the principal people that really needed to remain safe were safe. And then, following up with Sunday's episode, some people feel betrayed that, they felt like a lot of things happened a little bit too fast, and they couldn't wrap their minds fully around it. But if the books were out there, which I fully plan on reading once he finishes, I'm hoping to gain a little more insight based on the story. Like Tony Young is saying like the major series. Tony Young is saying the writers wanted to subvert expectations so much they forgot big payoffs need to be earned. He's exactly saying what I was just saying. Basically, like some people just have a tough time with this very condensed season. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but
I look at it this way: it's the end, and they don't have time to, which we like to say all the time, things need to be earned and stuff like that. They don't have time for that. They need to wrap up storylines and close down plot lines, because we're used to them giving us a little bit of plot here and a little bit of there, but here it's just closing up shop. So that's kind of how I've been looking at it.
But wait a minute, every show is like an hour and a half long. The usual seasons are only 10 episodes, so we're actually, if you think about it, we're getting more this season than you have any other season. So I'm not understanding. If they wrote it shitty, that's one thing. But to say they didn't have time or didn't have the space,
I think that's part of it too.
I was about to say the exact same thing, because there's only been 2 episodes that have been an hour long, and then had 3. One was 2 hours long. You had 2 that was an hour and a half, and another one that's coming up is an hour and a half. So the previous seasons were only 10 hours long. This one is going to be close to 10 hours. It's not like they could not put that stuff in there, but they don't need to develop the characters anymore. All the characters have been developed to the point where they need to be. There is no more developing that needs to happen. Now, like you said, they need to close the friggin', they need to close the door.
I think that's what they're doing, but I think a lot of people are upset because they didn't. Because again, we have all this other time and all these, long and drawn out things, and because it's so swiftly happening, people don't like that. People don't like that it's so swiftly happening, and I'm just like, it's the end. Mm-hmm. And they're literally shutting down all hope that, hey, this is going to come back, or this is going to do this, or this is going to, that's how I am seeing it anyway. Well, they are shutting down shop.
And remember when they were talking about possibly having the actual finale be like a theatrical released movie not too long ago? I think some people are even wishing that had actually transpired, because like maybe, the actual final conflict that's getting ready to happen over the past couple of episodes could have happened in that movie, and they could have let a little more time, breathe before, I'm just giving reasons that a lot of people have been out there actually saying,
I never believed that when I heard it once, and
I didn't believe it either, but
I don't believe that because this is HBO. So, right. I don't know. I can say that the last episode that what is it, episode 5, it wasn't as satisfying as so many more episodes throughout the season, and maybe and I'm starting to think more and more maybe that was by design. Just like the very first episode of the season, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, this was such a great episode. It was just like, okay, this is what's going on. And then we had the big fight, and that was extremely satisfying for me anyway. And then we have the finale this Sunday. So,
right.
I think that you can only do so much popping and popping and popping. Granted, there's a certain somebody who deserved a better death, and a more gruesome death, and a more heinous death, but they didn't get it, so whatever. Right. But, it is what it is.
I mean, everybody's going to have to kind of make their peace with the end, however it ends, because there literally is no more after Sunday. That's it. And we'll talk about this more next week before we move on. We'll talk about it more next week, but, Game of Thrones has been so wildly successful, and a lot of people may or may not like the ending, and I wonder if the dissatisfaction that they might have over the ending, whether they feel like it's been rushed or poorly written or poorly handled, if it might sour their memories or their overall satisfaction with the show itself. And I think that's not an unreasonable thing to say.
I will say, and I'll speak at length about this next week. But I will say two other shows that I absolutely love that were so amazing, and I just did not like the last season because again, it was the end. You never want to see your favorites end. That is Dexter and True Blood. I absolutely didn't like the last season of either of those, but it didn't sour anything. And I will say Game of Thrones is doing a lot better than both of those shows. Yeah. So
Dexter, they lost me way earlier than that. Right after the Trinity Killer, I was like, this is garbage. I'm like, I stopped watching it right soon as that was done.
Yeah.
But another
thing. Fan of the books,
wait a minute, real quick.
I read the first two books, and I wish they did the second book. Oh God, Yodel and Potato. That would have been fucked up.
Great.
Yeah.
It would have been great TV.
Now,
anyway,
were the last season of Dexter on Showtime? I heard, didn't it get new showrunners at the end, and that's kind of what like when the new showrunner came on, they a lot of people said that it kind of changed, and it ended up and a lot of people didn't really like it because the showrunners had kind of changed the end, and they didn't really like it.
I don't know. Like I said, I stopped watching it after what's the dude's name from Third Rock from the Sun? Harry and Henderson. He's in so much stuff. Like it's like an
John Lithgow.
Yeah, John Lithgow.
Yes, John Lithgow.
Yeah, after his arc was over, I stopped watching it because it just got so bad. I didn't even care. I was just like,
did you feel like they had basically stretched it out for too long, like and just the show had just gone on for too long and it had run its course? Is that kind of the way you felt?
Because it's kind of the same issue with Game of Thrones in a certain degree, where it's a show based off of books. But in the case of Dexter, they had the books, they just chose not to use them because, like I said, the first book was the first season almost to a T. But the second book,
they went off.
They didn't even use it at all because it probably would have been too messed
graphic,
up.
Maybe.
Yeah, and I think they should have did it. But
wait a minute. Stop. Are you telling me, Miao-Yin, that they thought doing a show on Showtime would have been too graphic?
That's why it's not HBO. It's Showtime.
What is cable TV? They have no.
Showtime doesn't do the same things that HBO does. Like if Dexter was on HBO, they would have did all of the books. They would have done all of the books, and it would have been graphic. It would have been crazy, and people would still be having nightmares. Probably some other moms group would be petitioning to get them kicked off the show, as so many other HBO shows. But it's not. Showtime does things differently. So,
and it was pretty gosh darn graphic what my man was doing to his victims in the second book. It's probably the worst thing you could ever have happen to you ever in life, and it's no joke. And I'm just like that. When I read about that, when I say Yodel and potatoes, that's what Dexter called these things, these people, I should say, not things. He called them Yodel and potatoes because they were literally a torso, and they had no tongue, no eyelids, no teeth, no ears. They couldn't talk. They were just there, and you can just because you couldn't talk. It's just
I guess I'm shocked that some cable TV show or cable networks that are free from any constraints of like the FAA or any kind of regulatory board.
They're not. They still are owned by certain companies and still have to fit in within those realms and stuff like that. If you realize HBO and Warner are under the same company and they have much darker content.
Not only that, you still have advertisers. You still have people that, investors.
So they still have rules they have to play by. And like I said, HBO pushes the envelope. I don't know if they've been doing it about the same time or not, but neither here nor there. HBO just pushes the envelope as far as they possibly can go. And
people say you're either going to like it or you're not. And we're okay with either outcome, which is, this is kind of liberating, honestly, when you think about it. And it lends credence to why HBO seems to always get the best shows coming out on their network. Where
you got some breaking news.
What's that?
Apparently, there's a petition going out, and I can't stand stupid, useless petitions to remake Game of Thrones season 8 with competent writers.
With competent writers, I laughed when I saw this. I was like, because even if I'm not totally happy with kind of the rushed writing and all this other kind of stuff, fans that do this kind of stuff always amuse me, because it's like, this is so ridiculous, right? It's so absolutely ridiculous.
It's like, we're gonna, and what is kind of odd to me is that I watched a video before here, and it was a guy calmly explaining why these people are lashing out. They love the show, and then they do something that they don't approve of, and they lash out. And he attributed it to a sports team. How many people do you know that love sports, and when their team is not doing well, all they do is talk shit about the team? Oh, the quarterback sucks. You need to get rid of blah, blah, blah. You need to do this, you need to do that. And it's the exact same thing that they're doing with these TV shows, that they feel that they're so invested, and for them to blow off and to have some kind of camaraderie, because you think about it, nobody... he said when you put a status out there and that's positive, somebody just clicks like and goes on about their business. But if you put a status out there that's negative, that's why so many people, instead of saying, I don't like what has happened, say, this is trash, which I cannot stand that fucking statement. If you don't like something, say you don't like it.
you must really not like LGZ then, because that's her catchphrase.
She's not the only one that does that. I mean, and it's not the person that I don't like. Okay. I don't like that phrase. Okay. I don't like when people do that. Yeah, because it's blanket. It's a blanket statement over the whole thing, and I'm not a big fan of blanket statements or anything. If you don't like something, say I don't like it because this, and this. Don't say it's trash, because that's saying that everybody shouldn't like it, right? And it's garbage and blah blah blah.
As long as you can give measured reasons behind your dislike of something,
that's basically how I feel about stuff. Yeah. I can't stand people blanket statement anything.
But one person's trash is another person's treasure,
and it's 100% true. But it's just a word.
I get it.
Hey, there's a guy out there I know that worships at the altar of Batman and Robin, thinks it's like one of the greatest movies ever. Like
Batman and Robin,
okay, bro.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at Batman and Robin as a tribute to Adam West, then it's not bad, because
no. He says,
hold on, let me finish. Okay. Imagine your brain. Take your brain and replace George Clooney, replace friggin' all those people, and put in the 1960. Exact same movie, exact same script, but with Adam West's, people wouldn't have a problem with it at all. People would have a problem with the Bat credit card. People would have a problem with the Bat skates. People wouldn't have a problem with any of that if it was Adam West. Same plot, same script, same settings, same all that, but Adam West. Be great. Well, but because we got Tim Burton before, because we had Tim Burton's Batman before, we don't want that one. It was not bad on its own. It's bad because one person had a vision, and the director's vision of Batman and Robin was what he thought Batman was, more than likely, which was Adam West. And he recreated an Adam West fucking Batman using George Clooney and all those, and Arnold Schwarzenegger, all that other stuff. It's only bad because people compare it to the other one.
Right.
So
and that's absolutely
the comparisons. That's
what I can't stand. Yes. I was having a conversation about that too. Everybody compares it. Oh, if it's not like this, then I don't like it. Why can't we go in and watch a movie and say if this movie is good and bad or blah, 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 based on its own merits, not what it's compared to, not what it's brought off from? Because every comic book movie, I have to go through this with everybody who's a comic book fan. They didn't do this in the comics. They didn't do it like this. I'm like, they're not going to. Could you watch the movie on its own merit, its own accord? Please stop.
I love this rant.
Stuff.
I love this rant. This rant is great.
You've heard it before.
I love
Resident
this
Evil 2. I've done it. I've been there. I was youngin'.
I love this rant.
It's just
Keep
it's
going.
not going to be that.
Okay, but what redeeming factors does Batman and Robin have?
I'm not freaking saying that it's being redeemed. I'm just saying
Entertaining. It's very entertaining.
Is it really?
So
But is it really?
Thurman.
Is it really entertaining
I love
though?
that movie.
Come
I love
on
it.
now.
I love it.
Come
I love
on
it.
now.
It's
why does it
entertaining.
entertaining the Street Fighter is?
It's
And if you could be
entertaining.
entertained by Street Fighter, you could be entertained by Batman and Robin. Because Street Fighter, you can use that blanket statement, oh, it's trash. But a lot of people find it very entertaining because of the one-liners,
It was trash to you, but for me, it was Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly. And people can find value in almost anything if you want to. If you don't go into the stuff serious, if you're not trying to compare it to stuff, if you're just going in to be entertained, you can find value in a lot of stuff. Now, if you weren't entertained by it, you say I wasn't entertained by it, but don't say I wasn't entertained because it's not like the source material.
Did you see it in the movie theater?
I did see it in the movie theater. Street Fighter, most definitely.
No.
And I was-
I'm talking about Batman and Robin.
Oh, Batman and Robin. Yeah, I saw it in the movie theater as well.
Yeah, you
And
came
I-
up to the Star, didn't you? Did you come up to the Star and watch it when we had the Batmobile and stuff up there?
I didn't see it at that time. No, I think I saw it at the Wonderland.
How did you
Mall.
feel after you saw it? Like right after you saw it?
Not as bad as I felt when I saw Street Fighter.
Dude, I felt terrible. I felt
fucking
terrible. And I was working there. I was working at the
fucking
movie
felt
theater.
Crushed after I saw Street Fighter. I'm like, what the hell is it? My uncle was from out of town. It was
You wanted it to
Christmas.
be good, though. You wanted Street Fighter to be
Exactly.
good.
That's my
I'm
whole
talking about-
point.
I'm talking about Batman and Robin just going into it, just seeing it. That movie was not good.
No,
I don't
not at all.
so,
Not at all.
I'm not saying
Watching it.
that was not my say. I didn't say it was good. I said his vision was Adam West, and
Oh,
that's
without a doubt.
why you got the movie that you got.
We agree on that 100%. It's just hilarious to think that
Yeah.
like anybody really worships at the altar of Batman and Robin now.
But it's true. And you've seen it
Thought
for
was
yourself.
Amazing.
You have seen it for
Okay.
yourself. You've seen it for
Again,
yourself. I couldn't believe it when I first heard it. I was like, what?
And Meow Yen, I could understand why 9-year-old
9-year-old
you
me
would like it.
was
because-
ecstatic. It was awesome.
But
Right.
again, because you didn't have other stuff to look up to and watch.
Right.
I
No,
guess.
I watched when I was younger, I used to love Batman movies. I had the Tim Burton one, the first one, and it's probably I used to watch that all the time. And then of course when I heard a new one was coming out, and of course I like Alicia Silverstone too at the
Right.
time, so I was just like, ooh, Batgirl, ooh, a movie, ooh, Batman, and it was great. And I ended up hating Alicia Silverstone's character and loving Uma Thurman, and thus it began villains. No, I'm just kidding.
And that's fine. It's just, and again,
Right.
this goes back to Dino's point 100%. Batman the Animated Series was out, and I'm sorry, that really skewed my view of how
Right.
Batman should be handled. And
Right.
when I saw Batman and Robin, I was just sitting there like,
Really?
We go back to
Really?
the 60s.
Right.
Like, okay.
Really? After
I
we
enjoyed
watched
it
Batman
all.
Mask of the Phantasm in the theaters and thought that was like the best Batman movie we had seen ever in the theaters, it was like, come on. It was like, this is what you give us after that? You give us Batman
Not only
Forever, and then
Not
you give us
only
Batman
that,
and Robin?
yeah.
What?
The animated series did such a good job with Mr. Freeze that you sitting there
Yeah,
looking
they
at that
did.
movie like, dude, why
Right.
don't y'all just get Patrick Stewart to be Mr. Freeze? Like, y'all could have knocked it out the park.
Mm-hmm.
Nah.
Dude. And having Schwarzenegger ham it up as Mr. Freeze.
His
Everybody,
crazy.
chill.
You know, he had
Get outta here.
one-liners.
I loved it.
Now look, I digress.
His one-liners were great, but them damn
Bunny slippers.
polar bear slippers. Polar bear slippers and that robe. Again, like you said, 100% campy like the 66 show. But
Yeah.
I was just sitting in the theater. Oh my god, dude! I was like, and the worst part is he was singing "I'm Mr. Christmas." He
Yes.
was singing, and it was his henchmen singing. It was like you said, it was straight 1960s, but it was just like I was just sitting I was just sitting in the theater like, this is what y'all have come to?
Right.
I was mad as hell because I'm just like,
yeah, it's like y'all need to stop making Batman movies now.
Right. It's like I just watched a good episode of the show.
Right.
Nope. Movie
Right.
just
Because at the time wasn't the show still on with Batman and Superman Adventures basically?
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Batman,
So come on, man.
Batman came out in '92. Animated series came out in '92. That movie came out in like '94, or was it '94? Yeah, it was '94, I think. I don't remember.
Batman and Robin came out in '97.
No, it was '97.
All right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Batman Forever came out in '95.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was the other one.
Yeah. But anyway, no, this guy that worships at the altar of Batman and Robin, I even told him today, I was like, look, man, I was like, it's okay to like bad movies as long as you can admit that they're bad. Like that's the same as me still having an affinity for Superman 3, even though I love Superman 3 because of the nostalgia. I know it is a terrible film. It's a bad film. I know it.
There's some people who like it's subjective. I'll just leave it as it's subjective because y'all like some movies that I think are terrible.
Richard Pryor was hilarious.
You gonna tell me Big Trouble in Little China?
Don't you dare say nothing bad about Big Trouble.
No, it's not that. It's not that movie. But and I'm not gonna bring it up right now because it's gonna spiral into a whole nother. We're gonna go down a totally different rabbit.
No. Bring up the rabbit hole because you'll be in town soon.
Okay,
so bring up the rabbit hole.
Fine. Age of Ultron is a terrible film.
No, it is.
No,
it is.
Film.
No, it is.
I wouldn't say awful, but it's just not as good as.
Yeah.
It's
No, it is because like when I was doing the Marvel binge and I rewatched it again, I was like, man, this movie, right.
Because I remember sitting in the theater and I didn't feel that feeling when I walked out. Like, did I really like this one or not?
Right.
I mean, I can get what you're saying. I
fell asleep in the movie twice.
You wow. Compared it to the first one,
I did. I most definitely did. And so I can say that it wasn't as good as the first one. And that was my main issue, is that I was going into it thinking that we were going to get something on the same level, if not better than the first one. And we didn't. And that was my expectation. So when I was in this theater and I was like, this is not like the first one, I kind of felt that way. But then when I watch it now, it does set up a lot of stuff that help move the series along, and I don't think they did a bad job. But what was terrible? Was it the plot? Was it the acting? Was it the storyline? Well, I mean, for me, I think the plot of it was good. Why
is Quicksilver catching bullets?
Well, that's kind of dumb. But I wouldn't say the movie's trash because of that. But it is dumb. But
then it's just so many other parts. The acting was very slow and robotic to me. Like. You have all of those characters, and we've seen them in all these other movies. And that film in particular, it was very robotic. It was unnatural. I think it was written badly. Like, it's just so much that I'm just like, this was a bad film. This was a really bad film.
Another thing.
Hulkbuster was great.
Hulk versus Hulkbuster was absolutely fantastic.
I think that was pretty cool too. I like how they were setting up a lot of stuff. I like how they brought in.
I can appreciate the setup, but it's one of those films that I will never watch again.
Fair.
Basically, you're saying this is the Dark World of Avengers movie.
Dark World was good too. I don't care what nobody says.
I enjoyed Dark World though.
But most everybody did not.
Mm-hmm.
Again, most people aren't intelligent enough to like have a good opinion though.
I mean, that's the thing.
Wait a minute.
I'm just saying.
You know what?
Right. All right, let's move on. We talked enough Game of Thrones and other stuff, so let's move on. We spent about an hour on this.
Sorry.
John Wick 3 comes out on Friday. John Wick 3 Parabellum comes out this Friday. Now, we talked last week when we were doing our summer movie speculation how the John Wick movies have not really made a lot of money so far, and we're not exactly expecting them to make a lot of money. But that's not really the point. Could John Wick be the next Fast and Furious movies where, we initially thought they were? I can't even get through my spiel. I can't even get my. I can't.
Nope.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a pretty. I don't know. That's a pretty high bar there, buddy.
It is, but they have so much of that world to explore. Like,
okay, here's the issue with what you're saying though. Fast and the Furious only matter of fact, Vin Diesel's been in every single one of them except one. John Wick doesn't work without John Wick.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
not saying it would. I'm not saying it would.
It's a very now. Granted, if they did a TV show called The Continental and dealt with that hotel chain and all the various assassins that come through and do their thing, that would be interesting. Yeah, but John Wick as a universe without Keanu, I'm not watching that. I'm being 100% honest. And
that's cool. I'm not saying that John Wick would exist or even be able to really be done well without Keanu Reeves. I guess that's kind of what I'm trying to say. Could you see a run of movies for John Wick? Like, not saying it will reach 10, but it's already at 3. Could you see it reaching maybe 6? Or do you think it would kind of like run its course and it would get old?
Run its course practically, because we don't want it to be like Mission Impossible, because Mission Impossible, it has some good ones, it has some bad ones, but they just keep making them.
I mean, but doesn't that kind of prove the point? That kind of proves the point.
Has there been a bad John Wick movie though? Has there been a bad John Wick movie? We've got two, and they both were fucking badass.
They were.
Exactly.
I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is you're trying to say, okay, so a large array of movies, and you said Fast and Furious because I guess Fast and Furious has a lot of movies, which it does, but I would put it more on a like Mission Impossible thing, because I don't see them making a Mission Impossible without Tom Cruise's character. I just don't see it.
I could easily.
Or what is that? Those other films that I really don't like watching. The Bourne Identity. Like they used to keep making those, and
you just don't like
you make it with the
Matt Damon.
Right
there. You're like the Jimmy Kimmel of like this show. You just don't like Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.
I mean, but could they make those films without?
They did.
Did they?
They put Renner in.
Renner was in the last one.
Yeah, that was just
the last one. Matt Damon came back for the last one.
Oh, that's true. Okay.
Yeah,
Matt
but the
Damon.
one before that.
See, that's how much I pay attention to those movies. I didn't know there's 4.
That's just because Matt Damon was attached to it. That's all. That's why you don't pay
Jeremy
attention.
Renner was obviously in one that I never even knew existed.
But just because you heard Bourne, you were like, nope, I'm out. Nope.
Bourne like established some good and bad things in Hollywood. Bourne established like cool visceral fight scenes that we're starting to get now, but he also established shaky cam, and it's annoying. Okay, he didn't create it, but damn it, I hate shaky cam.
No,
fights.
shaky cam is not good. But no, I could
not for fights, but for other things.
But no, I could see John Wick doing maybe 6 movies, because of. And of course, obviously, it's gonna.
Hold on. Have you seen the first 2?
Yeah, I saw them in the movie theater.
What makes you think in this story that they're gonna go past 3?
What I guess that's what I was just getting ready to say. I was like, obviously, that depends on what happens when we see the movie on Friday. But like John said, he was like, "I'm back in. I'm back in." That's what he said. After the second movie, obviously,
the world is going after this man.
Hey, that's cool. And that can get resolved.
What's next? John Wick on the moon? Is that where we're going? Because once the war comes after you, dude.
Are there assassins on the moon? Is what I'm asking.
Exactly. Right, John Wick, Moonraker. Because the thing is, it's like. And like that's what I liked about these movies. They ramped it up. Like they literally started. It was super duper personal in the first one. Then in the second one, it was like, okay, you jump back into this world. Here's some dude from your past that helped get you out, and he's like he needs a favor now, and now he's got like his whole organization coming after you, and you kill him, and it's like, oh no, dude, the high table's coming after your behind. That's basically everybody. So I'm like. The escalation has been awesome. So once you do that, it's like, what could they possibly go beyond that? Because
they can call. I got it. I got it. They can call Denzel's character from The Equalizer to help them.
Yo, that would be dope as hell. But no, that's not.
That wouldn't work. But it would be great. It would be a good movie.
Yeah, it would.
Actually, I mean, I guess you can get the Guild of Assassins and bring Gambit into it.
Yeah.
And we just take it straight off the rails from
Yeah,
there.
no.
I'm like,
That's about the only way Gambit's gonna get a move. Actually, ooh, dang, he can't do a Cajun accent to save his life though. But Keanu Reeves would have made a damn good Gambit.
He would have. Yes, he would have.
He's gonna be Wolverine, buddy.
Stop it. Just stop it. Just stop it.
Don't do that.
Stop it.
Don't do that.
He's actually
Just
older
stop
than Hugh
it.
Jackman, so I don't see
Yeah,
that.
just stop it. Just stop it. But no,
He
good
aged
genes.
well, though. I'll give him
You know,
that.
good genes. Good genes. You know, being part Japanese has got some benefits, man. I'll tell you. But what? Really? What?
Wow, Nico said John Wick versus the Expendables.
Oh, gosh, no. So
Stop.
is that franchise over?
Yeah.
Probably, but
I think so.
Another one.
I want a fourth one that's rated R. Get it back.
I think
to
they
its
are.
roots.
Yeah.
Get it back to its roots. And
No.
Who's left? Because you already had Wesley come in.
He's
And
at
that's
Wesley.
it.
He's at John Claude. He's at Arnold.
Yeah.
Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis. Jet Li.
Jet Li.
He hasn't had Donnie Yen. He needs some.
he can have
Donnie Yen is
Yen.
one.
What about Michael Jai White?
He needs some Donnie Yen. He needs some Michael Jai White.
You know what? If he wasn't too old, has he had Tony Jaa? Has he had Tony Jaa yet?
Oh,
No,
I was gonna say if he wasn't too old, Chow Yun Fat should have been in there.
he can be in there if you want.
35 years old right now if he wants to be.
Yeah, what you talking about? You need to start with this too old thing.
He's too old. Too
I
old.
don't know about Chow Yun Fat, but
This, dude, they could go full Chinese triad and they can make Jackie Chan play a villain.
Oh, that would be dope as hell. Oh, that would be so
That'd be
dope.
great.
That would be so dope.
Jackie Chan,
That'd be great.
Chow Yun Fat, Tony Jaa. Oh, get the whole crew.
Yeah.
Jet Li is too old now.
That would be. Yeah, he is too old.
actually, Jet Li is not too old. He just looks old as hell. He
Well, I thought he was sick.
Yeah, he's sick. I don't think he can do it.
He's in odd health right now. I'm going to leave
Yeah.
that man on the sidelines. But I
Exactly.
want, I
Exactly.
want Tony Jaa, Jackie Chan,
Yep.
Chow Yun Fat.
I'm with it.
Oh, like
You know that guy? What's the name of the guy that played in that Asian guy that played in that Pierce Brosnan movie when he was James Bond? I forgot his name. I don't know his name though.
Oh, the dude that had the diamonds in his face.
Yes.
You can get
But he was a
him
model.
and-
He wasn't an action star. He was a model.
Dude, he's played so many
He
freaking characters.
was.
He's good.
Yeah, he was.
You can get him. You can get Will Yun Lee, and you can get dude that plays Storm.
Will Yun Lee absolutely needs to be in
William
it.
Lee is Korean.
I don't care.
And
He's
Tony Jaa is tired.
you know who else needs to be in that?
This movie, Chinese triad versus the
You know who
Expendables.
else needs
I
to
don't
be in
care.
that movie? Cary Hiroyuki Tagawa. He needs to be in that movie.
Oh, that's the boss right there. That's King
Yes.
right there.
Yes.
That's running the whole thing. And you
Yep.
gotta have Michael Jai White for. Oh man, this is like.
This is coming together. I like this. This is coming together. I like this. I like this a lot. Oh, Nico Shoemaker just said Iko Uwais from the raid needs to be in it.
Hold on. How is it not the Expendables anymore?
Because you guys are talking about you got the Chinese triad and then Michael Jai White. There you go. There's your movie. Michael Jai White versus the Chinese triad.
Chinese triad.
Skip that. I want Arnold and Sly and all of them in there. This just be the ultimate. Just
Hey,
ridiculous.
you know what? If we're gonna have Sly, let's go ahead and have him indoctrinate Michael B. Jordan into the Expendables and get him show him the ropes. Might as well.
I don't know about that one.
Might as well.
Over like a fart in
Nah.
church.
Come on, man. Come on, dude killed his Killmonger.
Have
Have I? Come on, nah, come
Michael B. Jordan
on.
in the middle of all of that greatness. There's nothing wrong with Michael. He's a great actor. Dude does his thing. But seriously,
They
We
need
would
to
have
have
it, but you ruined it.
Michael Jai White would be the person to put in there, not
Thank you.
Michael B.
Michael
Jordan.
No, I'm not saying Michael Jai White shouldn't be in it. That's not what I'm saying at all. That's not what I'm saying at all.
But you have to bring back a whole bunch of other folks. I just want
Okay,
the Expendables.
all right, all right.
Michael Jai White is now an expendable,
Right.
and the Chinese triad, and let's go.
Ooh, and
Look,
somebody said put Uma Thurman in.
I'm gonna go ahead and say,
that's her Kill Bill crossover.
you know, I wouldn't hate that.
Mike in the chat lost his mind. He said Will Smith for some strange reason.
Man, please, man, please,
Oh.
man, please,
Smith.
man, please.
You about to get,
I don't want to hear it.
You're about to get kicked out.
Man, please.
I mean, he does have Skeletor as his avatar, so he could just be joking.
Man, please. Nah. What was I about to say? Oh, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and say it that if we're talking Expendables, Michael Jai White should have been the pick over Terry Crews, like from the jump.
What?
What is wrong with Terry Crews?
I didn't like Terry Crews. I didn't really like Terry Crews' character. I would have much rather had Michael Jai White.
You are a hater.
You must not have saw the first movie.
I did. No, I did see the first movie, but I still would have rather had Michael Jai White. Either Michael Jai White or Wesley, even though we finally got Wesley, but it was like a few years too late. I wanted like in his prime Wesley.
He was in prison for real. That's why he couldn't.
No, I know that. I know that. I'm just saying.
He wasn't gonna let him out just to do the movie.
We need to remind this man of the hallway scene in that auto shotgun. Terry Crews don't need to be in the movie. Are you crazy?
Terry Crews is freaking awesome.
I'm not saying. Okay, never mind. You know what? I'm just getting beat up, man. Never mind. Forget it. So
you have odd opinions, man.
They're opinions. They're not odd. They're just opinions.
No, you are a killjoy, sir. You are a killjoy. Why are we
I'm a
taking out
killjoy.
Terry Crews?
Look. Tony Young agrees with me. He says Terry Crews is not an action star. Tony Young agrees with me. He says
Terry Crews can be an action star. Terry Crews can be whatever he wants.
He's very versatile. He's very versatile.
I'm not saying he's not. I'm not saying he's not versatile. I'm not.
Terry Crews is not an action star. Yes, he is.
Hand of Omega said
that man was carrying around an automatic shotgun that fired warheads that got themselves off when they hit skin. I don't want to hear it. That's an action star. Straight up.
He's taking Old Spice commercials as the truth. Come on.
That man fired a
national treasure.
Fired a chain gun for 10 seconds, just like Dolph Lundgren told him it was going to be 10 seconds. I don't care. That was awesome.
Yeah. So awesome. Uma Thurman should be in it. Hand of Omega says Kate Beckinsale should have been in it too.
And the Expendables.
Yeah, Celine from just because she was Celine from Underworld. I'm like,
there's only been one female expendable, that was Ronda Rousey.
Right.
And she didn't even really need to be in there either. So let's be told.
You already knew she was gonna be in there.
Yeah, if you want to take somebody out of movie, it's always Ronda Rousey.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
Expendables 3, the idea of it was interesting, but they just had a weird cast, and it was like, and it's like you wasted Mel Gibson, because Mel Gibson was freaking.
Dude, he was great. He was great as the villain. He was so good.
Has Kurt Russell been in it?
Nope.
No.
Oh, that's somebody else that can put it in.
You gotta get Kurt. You gotta get Kurt. I don't know how.
Yo, man, you gotta get Kurt and Sly to be a reunion of Tango and Cash.
No. You get Kurt Russell in there as an extension of Jack Burton, because you're
yes.
He's not Jack Burton, no. He's
an extension.
Super, like he's
Jack Burton-esque.
But technically, wouldn't he technically be like almost like Nobody from the Fast and the Furious?
Oh, Mr. Nobody was freaking awesome.
Mr. Nobody was freaking awesome.
Star-Lord is like Jack Burton.
You mean like Ego? You mean like Ego, right?
But if he's an expendable, he has to be badass. He can't be like...
Yes, absolutely.
Can't be Jack Burton.
Right. So it could be... I think the whole idea would be like you give him a couple of Burton lines just for the callback, but then he's still a badass though.
Mixing in some Cash, because Cash was that dude.
Yep.
I did not know that Kelsey Grammer was in the Expendables.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, he was like
he was the handler.
I was gonna say
he was
the
handler
or whatever, but yeah.
Even he was cool.
Yeah.
I mean, Kelsey Grammer is a good actor.
Hannah Omega's now saying Mila Jovovich or Michelle Rodriguez. Now, Mila Jovovich I would accept based purely on the amount of action movies that she has done. But Michelle Rodriguez...
I say Michelle Yeoh.
Exactly, Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah, Michelle Yeoh. Being in the Chinese triad, yes.
Y'all getting way off the track. It's the Expendables versus the Chinese triad. You're bringing all these white folks in here. I don't know what y'all trying to do.
Exactly.
It's you told them like the Expendables are going to be all dudes, mainly. I'm sorry, I'm being sexist, but this time around it's going to be all dudes.
Yeah.
Against the triad.
Michelle Yeoh could be a part of the triad.
Michelle Yeoh could be the leader of the triad.
She could be part of the triad.
Especially
the way she is on Star Trek Discovery. She needs to be a villain.
She could be Carrie Hiroyuki Tagawa's wife. But she's still badass though.
Dude,
but she would still be the leader.
The way she is on Star Trek Discovery as the Emperor. Oh man, no, I'd take her as the main villain.
Anything, she's awesome in everything.
She loves being like she is so good at being bad in Star Trek Discovery. Like she relishes it. It's great. It's absolutely fantastic.
Nico, Christopher Walken cannot be the villain. He can be on the expendable side as a weapon armorer or something.
He can be the new handler because I don't even think he would work out as an actual expendable.
Christopher Walken will work out as everything.
No, I don't need Christopher Walken in this.
What?
See, all that.
GQ's offended.
I don't need Christopher Walken in this.
You don't know that you need Christopher Walken.
I don't need Christopher Walken in this.
Like, dude,
I would take Woody Harrelson over Christopher Walken.
Oh, dude, you crazy. You crazy.
You didn't know that you needed Christopher Walken in that Fat Boy Slim video either. But when you got him, and it was awesome.
I was just watching the rundown again the other day.
But I don't think Christopher Walken needs to be in this. No.
No. I was just watching the rundown again the other day. Come on now.
He's good in the rundown. I enjoy that movie a lot.
Wait a minute. What about Kevin Bacon? Kevin Bacon can be in there.
I might have to do a hard pass on that.
Because you know what? 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon is in this movie is going to be disgusting.
He could bring the worms, summon them.
Okay, look. You know what? You know what Kevin Bacon and Christopher Walken can do? They could be like they could be on the expendable side and start some crap. And they get killed, and then the rest of the movie, that's how the movie starts.
And that's fine. They can get killed by the triad. I have
in the beginning of the movie, the very beginning, the opening scene.
5 minutes.
Yeah, the opening scene that needs to happen.
I know we keep piling on to the triad side, but Hand of Omega just brought up Mark Dacascos as a member of the triad. Yay, nay?
He's still eating peppers.
He fell off a little bit after that Iron Chef thing. Now, granted, he's making his comeback.
He's going to be in John Wick 3,
so he might still got it.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Shoemaker said, Mark Wahlberg,
no.
Sir, you are dismissed.
No.
Stop it. No Mark Wahlberg, no Tom Cruise, no Will Smith. No.
But this triad thing, this is a good pitch, though.
I like it. I absolutely like it.
But it should be the last one, so the triad has to win.
Exactly, but no, I don't know about that.
Why?
Because I don't know, but you know what I love so much about the second
one? I guess that would work right now with everything going on.
Norris in the second one, that was so awesome. And Chuck Norris saw the Chuck Norris show. That was
he did.
I enjoyed this. I enjoyed the second one. I just didn't take time to see, anymore.
Are you just
Who is singing?
That would be Dido. He's over there just humming and
You're
singing.
Over here serenading us?
I just don't know what he's doing right now.
You need to see this because another friggin' I was looking at my email trying to find something video game.
Stay locked in, man. Stay locked in. Anyway, let's move on.
Then I saw a friggin' sale for 4 games for $4.
You got a sickness, my friend. You got a sickness. All right, guys. So moving on to the last topic of the day before we bust out of here, is the end of an era. Arrow, while it hasn't officially ended, for all intents and purposes, it is over on the CW. They wrapped up a lot of the plot threads, confirmed that Oliver's going to die in the Crisis next fall. Felicity has been written off of the show for all intents and purposes in a permanent fashion. Like, her story is done. Next season is all going to be about the Crisis, and that's it. I don't even think any of the other stars like John Diggle or Juliana Harkness they're coming back. I don't think they're coming back next season, or if they are, they're coming back in a limited capacity. So how does, being that Arrow kind of kicked off a renaissance for superhero television shows on TV when it first premiered almost 8 years ago, how does Arrow compare to similar shows that have come out since? Like, because we know it was much maligned for being like Batman with a bow and arrow, and which it kind of was, but it kind of grew from there. So what do you guys remember the most, or how will you think Arrow compares to similar shows like, say, a Smallville or even Flash, which came after it? What did you think of Arrow now that it's all over?
I think
I'm
that.
good.
Oh, I was gonna say I think it went on too long.
Yeah, good that it's over. That's what I meant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it
All
kind
right.
of lost me when he started getting his quiver, his quiver pack. I don't know. It's not clever. Sorry, but
When he
all the
started
other
pulling out
people.
trick arrows, you mean?
No, I'm talking about all the sidekicks.
Oh, yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, I didn't really care about all that. That's when it kind of lost me. I really didn't feel the need to go back. And then when I heard it, then everybody knows who he is, and then he goes there. I'm just like, you know what? I understand that it's difficult to keep a superhero persona when you use things in the real life, but they could at least try harder. Come on, it's just I don't know. I wanted it to be great, but it seems like almost all the superhero shows are making that turn where they just
No, they start out really good. Like the
yeah, they
Flash started
are.
out really good, but the quality of the show has just faded. And hey, no, I don't disagree with you that Arrow probably went on maybe 3 years too long. But I think it was just it was the nature of the show that they kept adding more and more and more, and they were afraid of trimming the fat because when it started to be turned into Green Arrow and his merry band of vigilantes, it lost something. Like and of course it committed a lot of really bad missteps along the way. One of them being that they kept pulling from Batman's rogues gallery instead of developing new adversaries unique for Oliver and his crew to face. But what happened with Mr. I don't even like calling him Mr. Terrific because he wasn't even Mr. Terrific to me. Pulling in Wild Dog, basically, nullifying, like killing the Black Canary and then replacing her with somebody else, and then kind of killing her too by removing her vocal cords so she couldn't even do the cry anymore. It was just a lot of stuff just went wrong. But Arrow did do a lot right. Like I'll always say that I think probably one of the best ambassadors of superhero TV or superhero movies, someone that was absolutely dedicated to the role. I don't think anyone's done it much better than um
Stephen
sorry,
Amell.
than Stephen Amell. Sorry, yes, I was drawing a blank there. Than Stephen Amell. I mean, because he absolutely relished being Oliver Queen. Like he owned it from the jump. And never shied away from it. She's like, yes, I play a superhero on TV. I love it. He took his training seriously, which was something a lot of actors in superhero film or superhero movies, not superhero movies, superhero TV shows don't do. And he was totally dedicated to being authentic as he possibly could be. And that should be applauded, honestly, when you think about it. A lot of people don't do that.
I think the writing on, as far as it compares to the other shows, I think all of those shows started off strong and just kind of faded, and now it's just like I think the only one that's kind of had any real sustainability is the Flash.
And even that's faded a lot to me.
It has, but it's the best of all that's there currently, I would say.
Right.
It's well, Black Lightning is okay, but it's just it's kind of weird too. I can't get over the villain guy, because
Can't get over Tobias Well? What's wrong?
He just
DJ
looks weird.
Cronon is absolutely fantastic. He's great.
He just looks weird to me, so it's kind of hard to watch. Anyway,
I mean, he's an
outside of
albino.
that,
He can't help that.
I understand, but I'm just saying it freaks me out.
I mean,
What do
really.
you want me to do?
Right.
I'm just saying it freaks me out. So, but I'm saying I think of all the shows, I think Arrow, like I said, started out strong. I agree. It probably went on. It's been 8 seasons. I'm gonna say 4 seasons too long, right? So, but I mean, it should have. You stupid. I'm just no, like it should have stopped a long time ago when it was at a high point, and now it's kind of like it just went up and now it's down. So like it's like here was where it started and it just like went up and now it's like here, and it's like damn, like how can you go under where you started from? Like it's pretty bad. So it's
it did end up pretty bad. I still wish they had kept the team kind of slim. They'd added a few too many characters on the show, but they did introduce some pretty cool ones. I thought John Diggle as a original creation character, and David Ramsey did an absolutely masterful job in developing that character into something that became really memorable. A lot of people really like John Diggle, especially from where he came from to even where he ended it on the show. I think he was really great. I believe they had one of the best representations of Ra's al Ghul that we've ever seen. Well, how can you ever find fault with John Barrowman in his turn as Malcolm Merlin? I thought he was absolutely fantastic as well. But they did a really good job. I just felt like you all said that they went on a little bit too long. What was some of your best or favorite moments from Arrow as the seasons? We've had 8 seasons to pick one. What were some of your favorite moments from the season's from the show's entirety? Like whether it be casting choices or moments that happened in the show. What do you guys remember most about it?
Oh, it's kind of hard for me to remember most of that stuff because trying to go back, I did like the whole thing with what the hell's the name of the Ra's al Ghul's what do you call that freaking organization? I can't think of them.
The League of Assassins.
Yeah, there you go. I did like those episodes quite a bit. It did seem to me a little bit Batman-y because if I remember correctly, that Ra's al Ghul has a hard-on for Batman because he wants him to take over the league or something like that. And they seem like you said, they just replaced a lot of Batman stuff with Green Arrow, because for whatever strange reason, Batman can't get a TV show anymore because apparently he's just too lucrative.
But Alfred, hey, don't get me started. Alfred can get a TV show.
Alfred don't need a TV show. So why? Just go.
Right. Alfred can get a TV show.
That just goes to show that they're scraping the bottom of the barrel on some of this stuff because it's like, why does Krypton exist as a show?
I ask myself that same question.
I'm a huge Superman fan, and I thought doing a Krypton show was dumb as hell.
Okay. If you said anything other than that, I was gonna roast you because I was like, "Come on."
She was waiting for me.
I was waiting.
No, I thought the entire premise of them doing a Krypton show, I was like, this is stupid. I was like, why are y'all doing this? Like, no one cares about Superman's granddaddy. You're just doing a show just to do a show. And then they're going to have Brainiac on there. They introduce Lobo on there. They have Doomsday on there. I'm like, I'm good. I'm good on that.
All villains matter.
Why don't we get right? Why don't we get a show about Cyborg's granddad?
Right. Exactly.
And
like,
just do a full trifecta of just shows that don't mean nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Wait a minute, don't they have an Alfred movie or an Alfred show coming out?
No, it's true. There is an Alfred TV show coming out.
I want a.
Why?
I want a show. I want a show about the Daily Planet before Lois Lane got there.
Yes. When Perry White was like a cub reporter, right?
Exactly. I want to show all about Perry White being a cub reporter.
Yes.
Yes.
So you want Metropolis?
Yeah.
Like literally, I thought after Gotham was made,
no Superman, no Lois Lane, no.
Exactly, I thought after Gotham was made, the entire point was for them to make a mirror show called Metropolis that was all about Superman villains before Superman ever showed up. You know, because they were going to have
Why
Lex
would you think
Luthor
that?
there. Oh, because that's what they did with Gotham. I mean, Gotham was supposed to be a show
Batman
about
is way more interesting than Superman.
Stop
So why
it!
would we
Stop
make
it!
anything
Stop it!
about-
Stop it! Stop!
I'm
it!
just
Stop it! Stop it!
saying.
Stop it! Stop it! Let me finish my point, would you? Because if they're gonna make shows that are completely irrelevant, you have a Metropolis show and it has Lex Luthor in it. It also has Metallo in it. It also has Parasite in it, but there's no Superman around. There's no Superman to be found. And you know, that show is going to be absolutely fantastic. And it's only going to be told from the perspective of Perry Wright writing all these stories about these Superman villains, but there's no Superman around to combat them. It's only the Special Crimes Unit. That's it.
I want
The
to
Metropolis
you
SC.
you want Law and Order Metropolis.
basically.
That's basically what it would be. I mean,
Law and Order SVU Metropolis. That's what's up.
There you go. I want a show called Lantern, but the only thing it's about is just the lantern. No rings, no nothing. Just a big green lantern out in the middle of space. With some
yeah.
You know what?
No. How about this?
I would like a show with the Black Lantern. I would like to do a movie
Zombie
or a
Lantern?
show.
John Stewart.
Oh, Black
Stewart.
Hand.
You're talking about
Black
the
Lantern. I
Black
thought you was talking about like the one that raises the
They
dead
actually
and has
are
the
Black
dead
Lanterns.
lanterns. I thought that's
Yeah.
what you was talking about.
Oh, there are Black Lanterns. She means the Black Green
She means
Lantern.
John Stewart. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who they tease that John Diggle actually is John Stewart because his stepfather.
Oh my God.
I kid you not.
Please stop.
I kid you not. I kid you not. Ernie Hudson was on the show this season, right? He played John's stepfather, and his name was Stewart. His last name was Stewart.
Let me put my Cardi face on right quick.
You know, they're both from Detroit. The guy
Yep.
that plays John Diggle and Ernie Hudson.
They are.
Oh, you silly.
And John Stewart in the comic book is also from Detroit.
Yes, he is. That's very true.
Oh, did you know this? Did you know this, El? Check this out. Did you know that John Stewart had a sister? Know what her name is?
What is it?
Lynn Stewart. As
I'll
in the
tell.
woman that's married to Black Lightning?
You know what? She don't even got no. You know what? I'll kick all this shit. Don't play with me. Like, do not play with me.
No, I'm serious. No, I'm serious. No, it's for
I
real.
found that out watching one of the animated ones. I was like,
Yeah,
wait a minute.
Lynn Stewart's in Young Justice, and she was actually talking to John, and
yeah,
talking to
that's
Black
what I was
Lightning.
watching.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's true.
I want a show about what's her name? Walker. I can't remember
Texas
her
Ranger.
first name. Not Walker, Texas Ranger.
That's
No,
20 years.
It's not Alice. Dang, it's Walker. She's like the villain. She's a villain.
Villain. Alice Walker. Alice.
Viola Davis played her in.
Oh, you
Suicide Squad.
want a show about Amanda Waller?
Amanda Waller. I don't know why I said Walker. No wonder I couldn't
Waller,
think of her
Walker,
name. Anyway,
Wait.
Wait, but did
Hold on. You want the Amanda Waller from Green Lantern, though?
no,
Okay. Just making sure.
Got something against Pam Grier, man?
that wasn't Pam Grier.
I mean, sorry,
Right.
not Pam Grier.
That was
Wow.
wow. That was Angela
She was,
Bassett.
but no, Pam
Wow.
Grier did play. Pam Grier did play Amanda
Yes, I
Waller
know.
in Smallville.
I
Wait.
understand.
But not in.
No,
Green
I
Lantern.
think
I don't want. I don't even like acknowledging
right?
that. I don't even like acknowledging that Amanda Waller even existed because it wasn't Amanda Waller at all.
I mean, the question was asked, so.
But
Period.
no, Amanda Waller is an interesting character, but essentially you would just be having a Task Force X show.
And you know what? I think they might have been trying to do that when they had Amanda Waller be the head of Argus on Arrow. And, you know, she was played by, you know, I forget her name. I don't even remember her name. But she was, you know, Amanda Waller is usually known for being kind of like overweight, but, you know, very authoritative. This woman was almost statuesque model, like she was beautiful. But she had the same type of domineering attitude that Amanda Waller usually has. And I thought she did a really, really good job on that show. And I think they were trying to tease maybe a Task Force X spinoff because they had them do a couple of missions. Remember, we interviewed I forget what's his name, Michael, the guy that played Deadshot on Arrow.
Deathstroke.
No. He played Deadshot.
Oh, I don't remember.
Yeah, the guy that played Deadshot, we interviewed him at Motor City a few years back.
Well, hold on. Elle, we're talking about the Hammer. She's nicknamed the Wall.
Yeah, no, I was just so I'm sorry, it's a Texas thing. Anybody know about Jim Adler? You can Google it. Y'all will get the joke. But I just
Oh my
thought
goodness, yes, the Texas Hammer. It was on John Oliver, and my husband loves it. He was like saying it with him. The Texas Hammer. Oh my goodness, it's a hot mess. Such a hot mess.
All right. Well, I know a lot of people are glad the show is over for one reason. For controversial characters like Felicity Smoke are no longer. They don't have to bother with seeing her on the screen. What do you guys remember, or did you guys like Felicity? Did you feel like she got a bum rap, or did you kind of also were falling in line with she was just really annoying? Kind of got in the way.
Screw Felicity.
Huh?
Screw Felicity and her Felicals.
Wow.
I mean, okay. All right. That was random.
Gosh.
That was random.
She was an okay character in my honest opinion, but sometimes I think she was put there to be the
brain
yin to
the master
Oliver's
hacker.
yang. I was going to say more because she kind of brought Oliver back from being a total psychopath, killer, murderer, I guess, to being somewhat not as psycho, but kind of still psycho.
A lot of
but
people
not a
just
murderer no more.
But a lot of people just didn't like her. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
if it
and
was
that's
just
why
they didn't like
because
the actress. No, it was Felicity. They didn't like her.
The actress. I didn't mind her.
No, not the actress. They just didn't like the character. They
that's what I'm saying. Is because
period.
I think because of that character with the type of person she was portraying, the type of person that she brought to Oliver, people didn't like her because Oliver was going out. He had an agenda, and his agenda was, I'm going to kill crime. And she was like, no, Oliver, I love you. And everybody's like, wait a minute. Who is this person?
There might be something to that. I think a lot of people were upset that she kind of got in the way of a comic, somewhat accurate relationship between Laurel Lance and Oliver, who obviously went on to become Black Canary on the show. Some people were mad about that as well. But
all right,
go ahead. He was sleeping with her sister, though.
Right, and I'm going to also need Dido to do a full-on recap series of Arrow, and that exact same style. Like that exact this you need to do a video of you recapping all of Arrow in that exact same style. That'd be awesome.
Nice.
Oh, I'll give it a shot.
Tony Young just said Shaka Khan for Amanda Waller. Get out of here, dude. Get out of here, dude. Is that
where we're at now, Shaka Khan?
Wait.
Shaka Khan.
Wait, are you guys trying to get a comic accurate Amanda Waller? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, that's what you're trying to say. Some of them were saying Gloria Smide to be Amanda Waller. Shaka Khan, no. She gonna bust out spontaneously in song when she gives the Suicide Squad their missions, man. No way. Nah. Just no.
Justin Smollett's sister can play Amanda Waller. I don't know her name. Jesse Smollett's sister. I don't know her name though.
She's
blacklisted. Journey Smollett Bell.
She's blacklisted.
She's blacklisted.
Because of her brother?
Oh, because of her brother? Man, come on, man. She ain't her brother's keeper.
He messed it up for the whole Smollett family.
Oh, that's horrible.
But she's the one who was famous first.
Right.
Hey.
On Full House.
Full House.
Yeah, she was on Full House.
Was on Full House.
Yeah, Journey. She played Michelle's. She played little Michelle's like friend. Best friend, the black girl. That
I
was
remember
her friend.
her in better things like